What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game that I honestly didn't see as a review I was going to be doing this week. I picked up this game called Celestian Tales, and within just a couple hours I realized I needed to do a review of this game because it is a hidden gem, one I haven't heard anyone talk about. Before we get into that, I do want to remind you guys to please hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you. Kurt, Leo, Keychan, Basic, all of you guys, you're just amazing. Anyway, so Celestian Tales is a really interesting game that is definitely what you would consider like a mature RPG, and it's also more of a Western RPG as well, as this game really kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones in a lot of different ways. The political aspects, and no, I don't mean that there's characters yelling, "Let's go Brandon," or calling everyone a Nazi. No, I mean the politics of kings and lords and all of that good stuff, as well as the complexity of character to do bad and to be good at the same time. You have 6 different characters to choose from. All that come from a different house, a different perspective on how the world works. You have Arya, who is basically a daughter of a paladin household. They're, white knights, so to speak, literally. Have the ability to cure, and also they're tanks. And so she's very much religious and goes strictly by like the old text. Reynard, you can basically consider him like a Stark. If you don't know what that means, you're not a Game of Thrones fan. Basically, he's one who was raised in more of a wilderness area, a tougher area. He's still a noble, but he is very barbaric and uses his axe to do his talking for him. There's Camille, who, to be honest, I don't really know much about. She's gonna be like your archer, your main archer, sharpshooter archer. Leanne, who is the elf of the party, and her character is really fun because she doesn't understand human ways at all, and so the politics and the war and just the idea of a noble structure is completely foreign to her, and so it's a really cool scenario to play her situation out. Lucerin, who is basically the epitome of like a good character. She's an amazing fighter. She's gonna be more of a tank, she's gonna draw a lot of energy in, and she just has a good heart and believes that nobles should be there to protect the commoners, and it's part of their duty. Now, my favorite character is Isaac Goldlake. Now, he's the only one who's not actually a noble. And to give you an idea of what I talked about, this being a mature RPG and complexity, I'll tell you just the maybe first 10 minutes of Isaac's journey. So you start playing as him, and his mother is dying, and she needs a healing stone. In this game, there's not magic, but there's stones that work as magic. Basically, this healing stone will be able to cure her and potentially revive her if she dies. Well, he's informed that she can't have it because she's a commoner, and commoners don't deserve the stones. So she unfortunately passes away, and he takes it really hard, as he should, but he decides that he needs to leave where he's at because it's essentially like a dirt farm. The taxation and government has just been too rough on him because their noble, their house, doesn't really care about them, so they don't take care of him. So as he's leaving, he decides that he's just basically going to be a highwayman and, rob from people and be an outlaw. And on his way to leave his town, he sees a noble who's injured on the ground, had broken leg, and this noble is cursing at him 5 ways to Sunday, calling him pathetic, and that it's his duty to help the nobleman, take him to the local priest, and so he can get a cure stone and this and that. Well, as Isaac, or Reed, which is his real name, he goes and basically just slits the guy's throat, like just right out cold blood murder, and then steals his identity, and his identity was Isaac Goldlake. But when you're looking at it and you're playing the game, you kind of agree with him in a lot of ways. Not only does he take his identity, he also takes his commands, his papers, what he was supposed to do, and what he was supposed to do was to go squire for a lord that they've all deemed the wise lord. Essentially the most profitable, the most caring and the most intelligent lord in all of the realm. And that is where Isaac meets all the other characters, and it's where all the other characters meet each other. And you get to understand how all of them work, and you get to run through certain scenarios. Now, the cool thing is that this game allows for you to choose any one of them, and it's only about 10 to 12 hours long per story, but it's cool to play as each character. So you have about 60 to 80 hours of gameplay in that alone. Not to mention the fact that this also comes with a DLC called The Other Realm, which unlocks after you're done with the Old North. Now, most people who are going to enjoy this are going to be RPG fans through and through, because it is essentially a turn-based RPG that really does start to scale as time goes on. When I first started playing it, I thought it was a little easy, but it really does start to pick up around like chapter 3 or 4 to the point where it's not impossible, but you have to use your skills. You have to use some tactics. It's not overwhelming, but it was nice a little bit to have a bit of a challenge. You also have the ability to equip passive and active skills. All your equipment is, stuff that you can either find or make, essentially. You have a blacksmith who can upgrade your equipment. You also make all of your money from fighting enemies. I think that's interesting. Like, when you win a battle, you don't just get money. You actually get the animal parts, and then you can sell those parts or whatever the creature may have had. If it's a human, they have different stuff, and you actually basically pillage from them and take their stuff and then sell it. A lot of this stuff, though, does lead to one negative I have for the game, and that is they don't explain any of this to you. They don't explain the equipment situation, the skill situation. I was running through and in late chapter 2, I was like, why have I still don't have any money? I can't do anything. And it was then that I kind of saw, I can sell a bunch of this stuff, and I can use that money to do, to upgrade my weapons and to buy some other, important items as well. And that's how I kind of discovered that's how you play the game. Now, as far as the skills, I discovered it when I was messing with the equipment, and I saw that there was a skill box, so I just clicked on it, and sure enough, it opens up into a whole list of different skills that you can pick and choose from. You see which ones you unlock when you level up, but it doesn't actually tell you how to equip them or that they're available. Now, the other thing about this game that I think I have to touch upon is it is incredibly beautiful. It's a hand-painted game, and you can definitely see the beauty in that. I don't love, the character animations that much. It kind of, comes off to me as, I don't know, I'm going to say 90s animation. But the characters themselves look cool. It's just in the cutscenes and stuff like that. I don't love the animation. I don't love the art style. That's a better word. But that doesn't really play a huge role into most of the game. Outside of that, the actual art is really pretty amazing and beautiful. This game also has some amazingly epic songs, some of those almost Valkyrie kind of songs that I think just really fuse well with this game. You definitely get those Game of Thrones vibes. But as far as performance, it ran really well. I've had no problem with it so far. I'm actually running through as each character. I will say another downside is you do repeat a lot of things when you go through the second time, but it's all worth it because there's a skip button and it knows what you're doing. They know that you're going to play it again to learn other parts of the game, so they allow you to skip easily, but there are times when you're just skip, and you're just trying to get to the stuff that you haven't experienced before, and knowing that when you're interacting with other people as the main character being someone different, there's going to be other dialogue and other things that come up as well. So yeah, as far as new content, there really is a lot. It's just you kind of have to go through a few situations of having to hit that skip button quite a bit, but it's still not a big deal, and I think it's definitely worth it. This game is only $14.99. It looks wonderful, it plays wonderful, it's super dynamic as far as writing and music. The combat is fun. For me, this game came out of nowhere, and I am so glad that I stumbled upon it, because it has been really amazing to play. One of those games that I'm sitting there just playing, one more mission, a little bit, let me just find a little bit more about the game, about the characters, and just keep going. I want to play the story through just a little bit further, and before I know it, so much time has passed. But anyway, guys, that's my review on Celestian Tales. Let me know if you've heard about it, if you've picked it up, you're planning to pick it up. Any and all of your thoughts down in that comment section below. Like always, guys, I appreciate the hell out of you. I love you. Take care.